pleased to say we also have good news to bring you this morning on the front of almost every paper in relation to this new drug that's being hailed as a turning point in the fight against Alzheimer's.
Well, it was a global trial. The medicine is called donanemab, and it found that it slowed cognitive decline by 33%.
Well, joining us now to explain how significant a breakthrough this is Associate Professor Michael Woodward. Good morning to you, Professor. So many people touched by dementia and its most sort of common variant being Alzheimer's. This will resonate with so many people listening and watching this morning. How hopeful are you that this is the game changer we're being led to believe it could be?
I'm convinced this is the game changer. This is the beginning of the end of our work into developing drugs for Alzheimer's disease. We now have 3 drugs in the same class, but this further improves the knowledge that we have that removing that toxic protein amyloid from the brain can actually slow down the progression of Alzheimer's disease.
Why are these breakthroughs all coming at once? Why is it all coming to the fore all together?
We've got much better at understanding what's going on in the brain. We realise that amyloid builds up, and we realise that removing amyloid can slow down the progression of the disease. It's taken us a long time to get a clear understanding of what goes on in the brain. It's taken us a long time to develop effective drugs to attack this amyloid, but we are now there. I've been doing this research for 30 years. It's so good to see these 3 drugs, in particular the one that's in the news today, having this effect.
Yeah, it is very exciting. And I know that regulators in the US say that they will probably have approved it by the end of the year. And there were, as with all clinical trials, a group that were on placebos and a group that were actually being given the medicine. And then there was a group that were on the medicine but had it removed and then carried on the placebo. And they continued to see a decline in this amyloid, which is really, really positive.
That's a remarkable finding. With this latest trial, when the level of amyloid in the brain fell down to essentially normal, as it did in most people within 6 to 12 months, they stopped the drug, but the people continued to benefit from it. They continued to show a slower rate of decline than those who are on the placebo from the beginning. So it seems that we get long-term effects by a relatively short duration of treatment with this latest drug, donanemab. Very exciting for people with mild symptoms of dementia and what we call mild cognitive impairment. It's only working for those who have proven Alzheimer's pathology, so you've got to have some either a blood or a spinal tap or a PET scan to prove that you have amyloid, but it is a very exciting piece of news.
Right.
But you were talking about the effects there, Professor. I was listening yesterday to interviews that were saying that it buys patients 4 months maximum of normality before decline starts again.
It buys them somewhere between 4 and 9 months of additional quality of life. And for a fatal disease, which Alzheimer's is, that's pretty good. We accept that with cancer, for instance. Another 5 or 6 months of survival is regarded as a good outcome for some forms of cancer. It's a start. As I said, I think we're at the end of the beginning of this development in Alzheimer's therapies. We now need to develop other therapies to either add on or that are more effective than this. But this is very, very big news.
I can tell from your accent that you're Australian, and you'll be aware of, the number of our doctors that are working down under, leaving the NHS. There will be questions, won't there, about whether or not, because you talk about the importance of having the disease diagnosed, whether the NHS will be able to do that. I believe we've only got 88 scanners in this country to test for people to whether or not their brain scan would respond to this treatment. This is going to add an extra pressure onto the NHS, isn't it?
Well, the very good piece of news, though, is that it might be that we can have the same diagnosis by a blood test. It's not fully rolled out yet, but we can detect this amyloid or the effects of amyloid in the blood. So that might be one way of bypassing the need for everybody having a PET scan. They're the scanners that you're referring to. And yes, we certainly do have a lot of your colleagues down south, and we're happy to have as many as you want to send to us.